DreAllDay.com.
Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. God damn it, the woke police then came for Stephen A. Smith. All right, now I thought Stephen A. Smith was on the woke police. Now the police are arresting the police. This is what happens. This is the end game. It's not over, but when wokeness actually ends, this is what it's going to look like. People who are doing the most woke accusing, they're going to be the ones actually getting accused, and then eventually the monster's just going to eat itself. It's just like Frankenstein kills the person who created Frankenstein. So those of you who don't know, you probably know if you're watching. Stephen A. Smith, I just watched the comments that he made again. I saw it the first time. I watched it again so I make sure it's fresh on my mind. Stephen A. Smith was on his show on ESPN, and he said that this guy Ohtani, who plays baseball, I didn't even know who Ohtani was, but I went and looked him up, and apparently this guy is amazing. He's a pitcher, and he can hit. He's like, most of the time, traditionally in baseball, I don't watch baseball, so if this has been happening and I didn't know, forgive me. But traditionally in baseball, the pitchers are not really that good at hitting, even when they do bat, because maybe they don't just pay enough attention to it. But this guy came from Japan. He can pitch. He's a pretty good pitcher, and he can hit. He's like the best hitter in baseball, even though he's a pitcher. So he's hitting the ball all over the place, smacking crazy home runs. And they finally talk about him on ESPN, on First Take. And the question was, is it a challenge that Ohtani is going to be the face of baseball, being that he's maybe a foreigner, or because he doesn't speak English himself, he speaks through an interpreter. Every time he talks through an interpreter. And Stephen A. Smith argued that it is a problem, that he could possibly become the face of baseball because of how good he is, because he always speaks through an interpreter. And according to some people, he can speak English, but he just doesn't feel comfortable enough to do it. So Stephen A. Smith made the argument that it is a challenge that is not somebody who speaks English fluently, because, I mean, they may not be able to, but they cannot, if they're speaking through an interpreter, communicate as smoothly or as easily as somebody who speaks English as their main language when they talk. And the woke mob came for Stephen A. Smith. They were banging on his door at night. They had the tiki torches, the hoods, and everything. And Stephen A. Smith got tarred and feathered, and they hung his carcass outside of the town square. So Stephen A. Smith had the woke mob come for him. Now, let's talk about why this happened, and I'm going to tell you just where I stand on all this stuff. First of all, on Stephen A. Smith's comments. Actually, before I even get to that, why did people even come for Stephen A. Smith? Here's the only reason people came for Stephen A. There's only one reason people came for Stephen A. He was talking about an Asian person. Now, let's just say this was a Latin guy. Let's say this player was, because a lot of really great baseball players come from Latin countries, and they speak maybe Spanish as their first language, and they don't speak English as their first language. They may speak through an interpreter as well. Let's say Stephen A. made the exact same comment about a guy who was only speaking Spanish, and he used an interpreter to speak English. Would anybody have given a damn? Would the woke mob have come for Stephen A. Smith? Would Stephen A. Smith be offering an apology the next day? Would somebody else who works at ESPN come on First Take to dress down Stephen A. Smith and tell him about himself on his own TV show? Would any of those things have happened? You tell me. I'm going to give you a second to think about it, because I know it's a hard question. The answer is hell fucking no. Nobody would have gave a fuck. Nobody would have gave a damn, because he was talking about a Latin person. And Latin people, if you're Latin and you're listening to this, all due respect, y'all ain't part of y'all are not one of the underserved or underprivileged communities that is the hot topic. Y'all not trending right now for being underserved. So if somebody says something bad about you, nobody gives a damn. Y'all know it. White people, y'all know it too. If something bad happens to a white person, don't tell the world, because nobody cares. Nobody's going to stop doing what they're doing. But if it's an Asian person, we got to stop everything and come to the Asian person's defense. Which is funny, because Ohtani probably doesn't even know what Stephen A. Smith said. I know that's not actually the point, but it's kind of funny when you really think about these things. The only reason people came to attack Stephen A. and I guess defend Ohtani, who, again, probably doesn't even know nothing about any of this, is because it was an Asian person. And that's a trending topic right now, that the only type of person, the only race of person who something can happen to you and people will be more upset than a black person is an Asian person. So Asians are at the top. Asians are at the top spot right now. Black people in second place. Latin people, y'all probably in third place. White people and Jewish people, y'all down at the bottom. And again, this is not my rankings. Y'all got the internet. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Anybody doesn't understand this, you can let me know in the comment section. So that's the only reason this is even a story, because it was an Asian guy. Not if it was any other race, Stephen A. Smith could have said the same thing. Nobody would have given a fuck. So let's be clear on that. That's the wokeism of the whole situation, that they're only defending him because he's Asian. Now, as far as the comment itself of what Stephen A. Smith said, that it's a challenge for baseball that the face of the game would be somebody who speaks English through an interpreter. Is that a fair point? I would say yes, that's a fair point. I'm not saying that. Now, the things that Stephen A. Smith said, he did get kind of sort of hyperbolic. That is a challenge that is not somebody like Bryce Harper or Mike Trout. These are American white guys who play baseball, and English is their first language, maybe their only language. I get that somebody could take a little bit of offense to that, but when we put this whole thing in context, Stephen A. Smith gets paid a lot of money, reportedly, allegedly, to give his opinions. This is what he does. He gives his opinions. He gets hyperbolic. He's a little bit over the top. This is what Stephen A. Smith does. He does this every single day. ESPN pays him to do it. They got a contract with him to do it. He is the most popular person who works at ESPN, all for him to be over the top, hyperbolic, and say these things every day that gets people talking and get people going back and forth. And Stephen A. even says he goes out for dinner or goes out for lunch somewhere in the city or wherever he's at, and people want to come up to him and debate him about something he said on the show. ESPN is all in on all of this. All right, they want this to happen. I'm not saying this necessarily this thing with the Asian guy, but they're in on what they're in on his act, if we want to call it that. I don't think he's acting, but when I say act, I mean just the way that he presents himself. This is Stephen A. Smith's thing. This is why he is the man that he is in the media world, because he does these things. Now, because he's talking about an Asian person, they want to go crazy. I don't think he said anything that was that crazy. Yet he just said, all right, it's going to be hard for this guy to be the face of the game because he doesn't speak English. I guess he doesn't speak fluently. Let's just assume that he doesn't, because if he did, then I guess he wouldn't be using an interpreter because he doesn't speak through an interpreter. So I guess I got to keep saying that to be politically correct. So, I mean, how is he going to do something like, look at what they do with the biggest names in sports, in every sport. Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Tom Brady. These big name athletes in big sports. Or what was the chick name who did the racing, the female? I forget her name. But the woman who was in racing for many years, I think she retired, whatever her name was. She did the GoDaddy ads. I forget her name. Somebody can tell me in the comment section. When those athletes get big, what do? They do endorsements. They are on, they're doing commercials and they're talking in the commercials. They get endorsements and they post things on their Instagrams or on their social medias now is the thing to do. Or they're in advertising. You see them on billboards. You see them in magazines and they have a quote next to them, something that they're saying about whatever product or service. This is how people get promoted when they're a big name person. So this guy, being that we don't really know his personality because we're only getting it through the interpreter, it's harder for people to maybe connect with him as a person because we don't really know his personality because we can't hear him talk. You get to know somebody's personality by listening to them talk. So since we can hear him talk in another language, but since we don't speak that language, most Americans, we're not able to really get a feel for his personality. And does that limit how much of a star he can become as far as media-wise outside of actually playing the game? Yes, that does limit him. That is fair game what Stephen A. Smith said. There's nothing crazy about him making that statement. Now, is it possible that this guy, Ohtani, can still be a big star because of the way he hits the home runs and the way he's a great pitcher? And based on the context that I've taken in, again, I don't watch baseball. So based on the context I'm taking in, I'm assuming, and somebody can correct me, he's basically the best player in baseball right now. Is it possible he will still be a big star and make a lot of money and get a lot of attention anyway? Yes, he can still do those things anyway. But it's a completely fair statement to say, it's going to be a challenge for this guy to be as big of a star as he could be if he was fluently speaking English. I mean, what's so crazy about that? I don't understand what's crazy about that. So this is, and the bigger picture here, everybody, this is where we're at. All right, Stephen A. Smith works for ESPN, and we just talked recently about the Maria Taylor, Rachel Nichols situation at ESPN. All of these people who have jumped on the woke train at ESPN, and listen, basically, you can't work at ESPN if you're not on the woke train. All right, you don't have a choice but to be on the woke train. And what's funny about the Rachel Nichols situation, she was on the woke train. She was riding on the woke train and she got kicked off because she happened to say the wrong thing about the wrong person on the woke train. Stephen A. Smith has been on the wokeness train, and now he said the wrong thing about the wrong person. He got relegated to the back of the train. He was sitting in the front of the train. Now he got to sit in the back of the train. He's on timeout at ESPN. Not that he's not going to be on TV. They're going to keep him on TV. But that he's on timeout, so to speak, at the back of the train because he came at the wrong type of person. He came at an Asian person. This is what wokeness is going to do. It eventually just eats itself alive, is that everybody's going to start cutting each other's heads off. Everybody who's in on this wokeness, eventually the crowd and the mob is going to come for you, and then what are you going to do? ESPN, this is the challenge that they have. I talked about this in the Maria Taylor video. because ESPN has gone all in on this thing, they can't stop it now. And now they're going to have to deal with eventually it's going to just get uglier and uglier. These seem like just isolated incidents, right? But eventually this is somebody's going to say something, somebody's going to have a wrong opinion, something's going to come out, and something's going to come out. Nowadays, everybody's a reporter, everybody got a phone, everybody's taking offense to everything. You can't say anything these days about anybody without them feeling like they're being marginalized, attacked. It's like the Victim Olympics, right? The Olympics don't start. I'm recording this on July the 14th is when I'm recording this. So if anything happened after that, the Olympics supposed to start when? When do the Olympics start? 2 weeks from now, whatever. The Olympics have already started, folks. Y'all didn't know it. The Olympics have already started. It's just the victimhood Olympics. Everybody's a victim. Everybody needs to be defended. Well, not everybody. Excuse me. Asian and black people. If you're not Asian or black, you're not getting defended. We don't care what happens to you. Tongue in cheek. And so this is where we're at right now, folks. Y'all can tell me what y'all think. Is what Stephen A. Smith said that crazy? I don't think it was that crazy. I can see how somebody who's Asian might be offended. Oh, you're just saying because he's speaking Asian that he can't be the face of the game, or is a challenge he's going to be facing it. I can see how an Asian person could be a little bit annoyed by that, but to make it a whole big deal and Stephen A. I forgot to talk about this. I got to mention this. He came out with his apology. He wrote the apology and posted it on his social media. Then he did it on the show, and he mentioned things like marginalized communities and anti-hate. I'm all against hate, and I didn't want to, and all this anti-Asian stuff going on, or Asian hate stuff going on. I didn't want to contribute to it. And I'm looking at it like, what? You didn't say anything hateful about Asian people. You just said the guy, it'd be a challenge for him to be the face because he speaks only Asian, at least when he's talking, and he speaks through an interpreter. That's not hate. Right? That's hate. And we're not even talking about the metaphorical hate like we talk about in the streets. Like, you're hating on me. You're hating because you said I'm not a good jump shooter. That's the kind of hate we talk about, like when we're bullshitting tongue in cheek. He was talking about real, like, serious hate, like hating Asian people. Right? Stephen A. Smith's gonna go and beat up an Asian woman in the street just because he hates Asian. Do anybody think Stephen A. Smith is hateful of Asians? Does that statement make you think that Stephen A. Smith is hateful of Asians? I would say no and hell no. So why he even had to use the phrase, I don't want to contribute to anti-Asian or Asian hate, the reason he did this is not because I don't think he thought he was doing that. I don't think that ESPN thought he was doing that. But this is what wokeness does, that you have to go apologize to every person who's ever been marginalized, who's in that group, because you happen to say a couple of the wrong words, and then people grab on it, and then they throw it in your face, and they use it against you. You get tarred and feathered, and they hang you out in the town square in effigy because you happen to say, again, has nothing to do with what he said. It's just because of who he said it about. That is the Victimhood Olympics. Right now, Asians are in first place in the Victimhood Olympics. Black people are in second place. They got the silver medal. I don't even know who has the bronze medal. Who has the bronze medal? I guess the bronze medal goes to like the LGBTQ community. So right now, that's where we stand. We should keep a scoreboard for the Victimhood Olympics. Asians in first place, black people second place, LGBTQ in third place, LGBTQ in third place. And listen, all these rankings are subject to change. All right, so just because you got the gold medal now doesn't mean you're going to have it tomorrow. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Everybody, you tell me what you think about this. Work on your game. Dre all day. Oh yeah, if you haven't gotten your free copy of my book, Third Day, The Decision Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. Right here, even if you're Asian, get this book. The Third Day, The Discipline that Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. This is the book. I will show you how to deal with those days, those challenges, situations where it's not new anymore, when you got the woke mob coming after you, and they just won't stop coming after you because you didn't apologize yet. That's the third day. All right, you're going to need to do something. Get this book. Go to thirddaybook.com. The link is down below in the video description. You can text me. My number is 305-384-6894. Whatever you think about this video, you agree with me, you disagree. If you think I hate Asian people for saying that, or I'm wrong for defending, quote-unquote, defending Stephen A. Smith, you can text me and let me know. Listen, I don't give a fuck because I don't work for ESPN. Nobody can tell me what to do. But you can do it if you want to. I'll engage with you. I'm not going to be mad at you. I'll engage with you. Maybe you'll say something that gives me a new idea for my next video, and I need your help. Anyway, so do that. Work on your game. Dre all day. We out.